I was told it would be impossible to beat Nest of Thorns without any upgrade, so I had to see how far I could go. Here's how it went. Once you get a feel for the game and learn some of the item combos, the first few echelons really aren't so bad as long as your build makes some sort of sense. If you're a sane person who's getting upgrades, then that will continue to be the case because the upgrades more than make up for the increasing difficulty of the echelons. Echelon 5 is where things started to get really difficult for me, and it wasn't about being insta-killed by the invulnerable scythe guy that rarely happened to me, but rather it was the invulnerable part of this new obstacle. You can't kill him, but he still absorbs attacks, which means a lot of the monsters you used to be killing and getting XP from and becoming stronger to kill more monsters, well, a lot of those attacks now go into the scythe, which means we are less powerful and we have to now avoid more monsters because they aren't dying. Here's what a typical run is going to look like. Go ahead and load up Nest of Thorns, press play, take a look at this minimap, and stop. You have failed, you are not good enough, you lose! I don't make the rules, that's just how it is. The items spawn too far, it's over, game's over. Without any movement speed upgrades, we can't spend too long running across the map picking up items, especially with the previously mentioned difficulty in killing enough monsters. We have to spend a lot of time doing that rather than backtracking for items and picking up XP and moving back and forth. It's going to waste way too much time. Another 10% of runs will end in the next 30 seconds. That's how long it takes to get the first item and hit level 2. And you're going to see if the build is making sense. Sometimes you can rush over to the second item or hit level 3. See if it comes back together, but if it doesn't, you're just gonna reset. The items have really good scaling, especially when you can finish them into a combo item like a Heart, Daedalus, or Conda, so you need as many items as you can possibly get. If the first Roshan takes you a minute, you've missed out on an extra item at that point, and it's gonna be really difficult to salvage that run. Not impossible, but really difficult. So much so that it's better to just keep resetting runs until you kill Roshan pretty quickly, and it goes without saying, the item you get makes sense for the build you are going for. I'm obviously estimating the percentages based on my experience. How many builds you want to keep going with is up to you, but I spent probably about 50 hours between Echelon 5 and 6 like theory crafting the different builds. And I tried a ton that I thought were good across all the characters. People would come in and say like, I beat Echelon 7 with this build, you should try it out. And I would try every build multiple times as best I can, considering that the items and abilities you get are random and in what order. But I tried a lot of builds many times, and I started to learn where that build was probably going to fail. So if I thought a build was going to fail at 6 minutes, I'd rather save that 6 minutes and keep resetting for a build that I thought was going to work. Fuck, these stupid golems, god damn it. Mortimer sucks. For a build to work, you need to be able to do a couple different things. One, you need to kill a mass of low health enemies. These are like the waves of bats, spiders, and skeletons. They will just overwhelm you and kill you because you don't have a lot of health. So you need a lot of either AoE damage, a lot of projectiles, attacks that pierce to kill off this swarm of low health enemies. You also need to be able to kill off a few high health enemies, in particular Roshan, the mini bosses, and the final boss, Imperia. If you kill the Roshas slowly, you'll get less items. Technically, the mini bosses you can drag on a little bit, but the sooner you get the Aghanim's upgrade, the easier it is to keep up with the monsters of increasing difficulty. And then, of course, the final boss, you can technically take as long as you want on that fight, but there are 4 pillars that will protect you from the projectiles. They'll break after 4 series of that attack. After that, you just gotta do the best on your own. More monsters will be spawning. So, I mean, technically, go as long as you want, but the sooner you get it done, the less likely you'll make a mistake and the easier it's gonna be. Eventually, your build needs to scale up to be able to kill a swarm of high health enemies because they will be coming from everywhere and they have a ton of increased HP. You can also go for a very tanky survivable build because you have a lot of health and a lot of knockback ability so that monsters can't get to you, and when they do, they don't do that much damage to you. With upgrades, you can pretty easily do this with any number of ability and item combos, but without upgrades, I really just have one build that I go for. Knife Throw will do everything we need, but it has 2 drawbacks. 1, the mini bosses that chase behind you are a bit tough to kill, and 2, the starting levels of Knife Throw are really bad. But once you get the build working around level 3 through 6, depending on what items you have, It does everything. First, you can choose where you fire it so you can focus important targets. You can always cut a path in front of you to get away, and the monsters you kill are in the direction you're walking, so you instantly pick up the XP. You won't waste a bunch of attacks on the scythe because you can aim where you fire, but once you hit level 3 knives, it has pierce, so it'll just go through the guy anyways, and you can still hit things that you care about. The second benefit is that it's a very low cooldown ability. Once you have a few levels in it, it very quickly becomes less than a 1 second cooldown to throw out a burst of knives, and when you actually max out this ability, it is 0 seconds, so you are firing a beam of knives in front of you forever. Once you upgrade this ability with the Aghanims, they pierce infinitely, which means they will hit everything in front of you. This is so helpful to kill multiple enemies at the same time, but especially when it comes to killing Roshans, the mini bosses, and Imperia, there are going to be hundreds of monsters in between you, and a lot of projectiles will not pierce that amount of monsters to actually hit the targets we care about. But with knives, as long as you face the correct direction, you are killing the targets you care about. I'll go into more detail later, but my ideal build is to start with Dragonis for the extra projectile. That makes the knife build come online a little bit sooner, which I think is the hardest part of the run. We're gonna have Arcane Bolt, knives, which we're hoping most of our points will go into, Swashbuckle, Stampede, and Track. Choose knives every chance you get. Stampede and Track can be value points, though you do need the point in Track before you kill the first mini boss. Arcane Bolt, you can put more points in, up to level 3 is fine. More if you get a Phylactery and Specialist Array and you're going for a Conda. You can put more points in Swashbuckle instead though, if you get an early Demon Edge and you're gonna go for a Daedalus. Go for damage items first, preferably the flat increases from Phylactery and Demon Edge. I don't mind if I get a Conda to have a spare Demon Edge, or vice versa, Daedalus, spare Phylactery, because we could use as much damage, and all these items benefit the knives. Heart of Tarrasque is fantastic to stay alive, but if you can't get the whole thing, get the Reaver over the Ring of Tarrasque. Specialist Array is really good if you can get it early. Everything else is kind of optional and opportunistic as it comes up. Sange is useful for the knockback. I really like having at least one of those. Yasha is really not necessary. I only take it if I'm required to. Blade Mail is good for survivability. That's about it. This is a little controversial, but the easiest mini boss is Cinderguard because they cannot move. Now, dodging all the projectiles is tough. There is a skill element there compared to the other bosses where you mostly just keep running forward. But with the knives build and with Stampede, the Cinderguard can't move. So when you need a moment, you just walk away from the Cinderguard and the massive monsters follows behind you. And you take a looping path, and so that when you go back, the Cinderguard that is vulnerable is mostly open and you can just walk directly at it while shooting knives. When it fires at you, you just sidestep a little bit and then continue walking straight at it. If you have Stampede, then perfect, you just go straight at it. And then you wait again. Like if the monsters have caught up to you, you do another big loop, you go back to the next Cinderguard and repeat. If you get lucky with the order, you can sometimes kill multiple before the mini bosses or the mob of monsters catches back up to you. But I find the Cinderguard to be the easiest with the knives because you can actually approach them from the front to shoot knives at them. Wailing Mass isn't too bad, especially if your Swashbuckle is pretty high level with a Demon Edge. Maybe you have a Sange, or you have high level at knives. Because you can keep running forward, knock the Wailing Mass back, and when you either have Stampede available, get it stuck on a pillar for a little bit, or have knocked it back for whatever reason, you can just face it and fire for a little bit to get damage in. And if you have enough knockback, it will very slowly approach you. If not, make no progress whatsoever. You kill it relatively easy, but you do have to move around because the other monsters approach from other angles. So you just reset up another safe spot, look at it, repeat till it's dead. The Granite Legion is very similar to the Wailing Mass, except that the first golem you can't knock back, but once it eventually dies, you can knock back the others. However, when it spawns into a ton of little golems, they will swarm you if you don't have enough AoE damage, which is either high levels in knives with the pierce and tons of projectiles, or Swashbuckle. And that same idea applies to the Wailing Mass, which isn't about the Wailing Mass because it's a one target thing, but it will pick up the monsters you don't kill. So if you don't have enough AoE to clear out enough of the mobs, then the Wailing Mass gets massive and it's really difficult to navigate around. The heck? Why won't it die, guys? Why won't it die? It's gaining health. The Wailing Mass is too big. The Evershade's fucking bullshit, and you just have to do your best. The strategy for the Evershade is the same as the other two that chase you, but the third phase is just so hard. This is where if you can time the Stampede, it's really nice, because the third phase is actually the weakest, but because it's so fast, if he touches you, you get slowed, and he's gonna kill you probably in one go. So it is very tough, and it comes down to luck on where the meteors and the monsters are, if you can do like quick circles around him to stay alive with your slow move speed. This chunky motherfucker. If you get the first Agnums early enough, I think the track upgrade is really good, because I think any run that gets a Conda or a Daedalus and then the heart is pretty good. There's a very high chance of winning that run. It is not strictly required though. You can still get track as an ability, because 20% damage amp pretty much means the bosses only have 80% HP, which is a lot of damage and time saved, especially against Imperia. If you're not doing track, then go for the Infinite Knives Pierce for your first Ags. I don't think you need to get the third Ags, but if you do, I think the Vertical Swashbuckle is good for staying alive. Unfortunately, although I believe this build will work, the build has to come in a very specific order as well. You get a Reverse, Stampede, track too early, you're just not having enough damage, you're gonna fall off. So the exact order of items and abilities is quite important, and there's only a little wiggle room for it to work. Once I had decided on the build, it was just a matter of grinding out runs until we finally got that order. Please, bounce to this guy. Kill it. Oh, I'm so stupid I walked into that. All right. I said I didn't want to do any upgrades with the intention of having the greatest challenge possible. Is re-rolling for a good build putting hours and hours into random chance, a skill expression, or simply this mindless time sink? And upon thinking about it, I realized I ain't no fucking quitter. The time is a mental challenge and I can handle it, so we fucking reset again and again and again. You thought I would get an upgrade? Pathetic. I even downloaded Vampire Survivors on my phone to review the source material. I was stuck on Echelon 6 for probably 70 hours until I finally beat it with the build that came together. Free yourself from this 50-hour grind. Don't choke it. Don't choke it. We can go spend another 50 hours on level 7. Let's go. Screenshot this. I had no idea what to expect from the meteors. I knew that we didn't have any move speed upgrades, which if you take the move speed upgrades, it's like you have a free level 3 Yasha, 3 items for free. A lot of people were telling me it was impossible, but I had literally never seen what the meteors looked like. I gotta say, wasn't as hard to deal with in most situations as I thought. It did kill me in a couple runs, but it really wasn't that bad. I thought I would have to learn how to manipulate the meteor spawns because they come at a set time, and if you change where you're looking, it'll spawn differently and you can actually turn back to the way you want to go, but I never really ended up needing to do that. The funny thing is that for as long as I was stuck at Echelon 6-4, it wasn't actually more difficult than Echelon 5 until the final minute and the boss fight. And I almost never got to that point. Most of my runs ended in the first 3 to 6 minutes, depending on what mini boss spawned, what my build order and item order was, where the mobs happened to spawn. That part is all the same as Echelon 5, and yet I got stuck here for so long. As if to prove a lot of this challenge was simply RNG on getting the right build, within the first hour of trying Echelon 7... Fuck! I didn't see it! God damn! Ah, shit, guys. That was so close. I think we were gonna do it. I think we actually had a build that could have beaten tier 7. I mean, I don't know if Imperia gets crazier. Fuck. Why is he red? Everything's red. I'm not even colorblind. I can't see him. Damn. I had only died to this invulnerable scythe death guy less than 10 times. And to lose like this in the heat of the moment was absolute despair. That run would have done it. I fully believe that. I can't prove it, but I believe it in my heart. And it sucks that I just, in the chaos of the excitement of being there again so quickly, I didn't see it and I didn't realize a second one spawned. That was so painful. And even more painful was the fact that I did it a second time shortly after. I'm so stupid. I was so greedy on that. What's wrong with me? Shit. I'm so stupid. Damn it. Ah. Oh no. Oh no. Damn. All right, that one was a little bit of a skill issue. Oh my god, that build was so good. I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. Damn, I knew this was gonna happen. Okay, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. God, it was not fine. It was so not fine. Oh my god. I didn't have the infinite knockback. Damn. I choked that at the end. Ah. Indeed. At this point, I was probably over 100 hours into attempting this. I was getting real tired of spending all my free time and nights on this and not doing anything else. I was bored of resetting for the exact same builds. I started mixing things up, could swashbuckle swapped out, stampede, track. In this particular case, I went magic missile instead of track, and the items, the build order, everything, it just worked out so well. And I finally made it to Imperia for the very first time in Echelon 7. I had no idea if meteors were going to fall in the fight. Was Imperia going to be stronger? Is she going to have some new mechanic that they didn't put there, but just an extra challenge surprise? I had no idea. But on the very first attempt, there's a part of me that wants to go for it, and a part of me that feels like I need to go get the cheese and hope it's up. Oh my god. That was luck more than anything. Please stop spawning. It is not up. We have to dodge everything. I'm having a hard time watching for projectiles while also watching for minions. I hope that stampede cooldown is up. Oh my god, it was. Please, I need like 50 Conda crits right now. Right now. Right now. God damn it. Ah! I was almost free. Guys, I should have been able to do it. There was definitely times I could have made the knives better. Ah! There were times I didn't hit her while we were running around and things. Ah, damn. All right, we just have to do it again. I didn't think I would be able to get that far with Magic Missile, actually, but it went better than expected. I choked it. I choked it. It was so close. It was in my reach on the very, first attempt. And if I had just angled a little bit better in some instances, if I had picked up another magnet spawn or something, I could have finished it. If I got a couple Conda procs, it was so close. I know it was doable, even though so many people told me this was impossible. That attempt, I knew it could be done, and that attempt proved it. Like, I just needed a little bit more to do it. Unfortunately, this game mode is probably over on the 15th of January. That's about a week away, and I got a lot going on right now. I'm gonna try when I have free time, but there's a very real chance I just don't get a build that works for as much as I reset. There's no guarantee. So I decided to make this video now because I felt like we were so close, and we proved it was possible. And for those of you that are not insane and you're getting upgrades but maybe just haven't beaten the 7th tier yet, then you can follow some of the advice I put in here, which it should work without upgrades, but with upgrades you should definitely be able to get your final voice line. I'm so happy for you guys that you could get that voice line. But maybe I also thought, if Valve keeps this game mode, maybe they make it so that you can remove your upgrades if you're crazy enough to start a new account to get to this game mode and play without upgrades. You all could join me in this final week, and we can theory craft maybe some new builds so we don't have to reset as much. We can have a race to see who does it first. Fair warning before you waste a bunch of time on it, though, you can't beat me because I already did it. I'm free! Yes! I'm free! I can go outside. I can do things. So happy. Oh, this took like 100+ hours. This was not worth it. I don't even know if I want to make this video anymore. Ah! Look how low my score is. You thought I would make this video without beating it? Pathetic. Cannot describe how happy I was to do it, guys. That is the best I have felt in ages, and I got engaged a couple months ago. I'll have the full run linked in the description if you want to see it. I really didn't think it was going to take me... I didn't track it. I'm pretty sure it took me over 100 hours to do this, though, guys. Is it because I'm bad? Maybe. I don't really feel like I gained new skills after the first 10 to 20 hours. And it was mostly just figuring out the right build and then getting the right RNG for it to work. I'm glad that I happened to beat it with the build that I originally thought would work if I could get it, and I finally got it and I did it. But I maybe was a little too strict with it, as the magic missile build almost worked, should have worked, and I hadn't expected that originally. So there's probably other builds that would work, and maybe I wouldn't need to reset so much in the future. Maybe there's a build for Shen that is far easier, or Kez, and it's way easier, but I just didn't really get to them. I decided to try hard on a build I believed in, as opposed to spend more time trying to find a build, and who knows how long that would take. So I didn't do it for them, just stuck to what I did, and we did it. Thanks for watching. Hope it was fun. This chunky motherfucker.